Right, so first of all, we're going to set up our A record on Google. So I'm going to copy this A record. This is the place where your website lives on mobile. So your website lives on mobile servers, and this is the IP address of where it lives. So we copy this IP address, and now we go over to Google, and here's our domain name. So I'm going to click on our domain name, and I want to go over to the DNS. Domain name server. This is where we serve your domain name. And you can see here straight away, it says, what's your host name? And your host name is going to be Sunset Talk. So we can leave this blank, or if you're unsure, you can type an @ symbol. And that's always going to be the case across these registrars. So by default, you can leave it blank for your A record. So I'll just show this now. I'm going to select the type A record. Notice we're going to set up a CNAME and a TXT as step 2 and step 3. But for now, I'm just going to set up this. Now, you can make this a bit shorter than 1 hour. This is the number of seconds. But you can make that 10 minutes if you're in a bit of a rush. And then you now need to paste in that IP address. And that's it for step 1. So now we can go on to step 2 and create a new record. So what we'll do here is create a new record. And this time we're going to create a CNAME, aren't we? So let's just jump back and remind ourselves. In here, we're going to create a CNAME for the subdomain www and set it to x.mobile. Well, what's going on here? Well, for your A record, this is without the W's. So this is when someone goes to the address bar and in my case types in without the W's belio.com.au. Okay. Now, what if they do want to type in www.belio.com.au? Well, in this case, we're setting up a CNAME for that. So I now need to go and set that CNAME. It's going to be set to the mobile servers x.mobile.com. So I'm going to copy x.mobile.com and I'm going to make our host www. Sounds complicated, but it's really straightforward. So let's go and do this now. We're going to set up a CNAME and we're going to call it www. Notice we don't need the dot. Okay. And you know, we can make this a bit quicker, 600, and then we'll type in x.mobile.com. Great, that's step 2 done. And now we're going to create a new record for step 3, which is going to be a TXT. So here we go. So what's going to go on here? Well, let's go back to the instructions and have a look. Create a TXT record. Must include spf.mobile.com in your sender ID. So what is going on here? Well, a TXT is to whitelist your emails when someone completes a form. So someone completes a form on your website, hits the submit button, and 2 things happen generally. You get an email and the customer gets an email. Well, we don't want those to go into spam filters, so we whitelist that email, and that's what is happening here on the TXT. So all you're going to do is copy this, including the quote marks. So that's often a commonly asked question when people read the text help. They think that the quote marks is not required. We're just saying, you know, spf.mobile. But no, you include the quote marks. Now that's just example 1 when it's a new TXT record, that a TXT record doesn't exist. But sometimes you'll go to your domain name, when you might be an existing company, you maybe have emails already set up, and you'll already have a TXT file, your TXT record set. Well, it'll say something like, let's imagine, outlook.com. Okay, but in this case, we're not going to create a new record. We're just going to include this bit. So see how I'm copying the spaces there. So I'm going to make sure there's a space between Outlook, and then we're going to include spf.mobile.com and then a space at the end. So that's all you're doing. It's no more complicated than that. You can't really break too much if you're following these instructions. So I'm just going to, it's a new record. So in this case, I'm going to copy with the quote marks in here, look. And to the end, I'm just going to copy all of this like so. Okay, and just press copy and then go over to our TXT. I can leave this blank, can't I? Or if I'm unsure on different registrars, I could type @ but in this case, I'm just going to paste ours in there, and we're looking pretty good. So in this case, I can now press save. We've got our A record, CNAME, and TXT. Press save, And there we've got our domain. So all I need to do now is go back, request the SSL certificate from Mobile, but make sure you've got that primary domain. A lot of people just leave in the site name in here. You've set it all up correctly. You can't understand why your website's not live. It's pretty much because you haven't put your primary domain name in. When you're done, press save, and that is it.